encouragement as well. And something that I accept, if you don't mind, not so much me personally, but I accept on behalf of the whole Mary's Meals family, all those thousands of people all over the world who are making this work possible. I thank you so much for your kind words, flattering words. I think sometimes there's a risk when you hear those condensed biographies that it sounds like I'm running around doing all this myself, and that couldn't be further from the truth. When I think about Mary's Meals, I always like to think about it just as a series of lots and lots of little acts of love. Lots of us doing what we can in our different situations, with our different possibilities, with our different gifts, whether it's people who are fundraising and donating money to buy the food, or the people who rise every morning as volunteers in the lobby to cook and serve the meals. We're all walking together with this same very simple goal, that the hungry child might be fed. And that's one of the things I love about Mary's Meals. It's simplicity, and its universal message. The fact that it affords this possibility to so many different kinds of people to do this work. I love the name of this award. It might be a little bit wordy, but I love it. The Human Life, Human Rights and Human Dignity Award. And that's really at the very heart of our mission of Mary's Meals, that belief that every human person has a right to life, that every human person doesn't just have a right to life, but a right to a dignified life. And you heard that story briefly of when I met that boy Edward in 2002. I was in Malawi that year for the first time. It was a year of terrible famine, and we were doing emergency feeding work, and this Italian priest I was working with was doing a visit to someone who was sick in his parish, and he said, "Would you like to come with me?" So I went with him, and he explained on the way to this family that the father of the family had died some time before, and then now the mother was dying. And when we went into their home, Emma, the mother, was lying on her bare mud floor, and she was surrounded by her 6 children. And she said to us, "There's nothing left for me now except to pray that someone will look after my children when I'm gone." And she was really panicking about that. There were already so many orphans in that village. And then I began talking to Edward, her oldest child, sitting beside her, and he was about 14 years of age. And maybe in the same way that any of us would ask a young person we meet for the first time, I said to him at one point in the conversation, "Edward, what are your hopes? What are your ambitions?" And he looked up at me and said, "I'd like to have enough food to eat, and I'd like to be able to go to school one day." And that was it. That was the extent of his ambition at 14 years of age. And Mary's Meals, in many ways, is a response to the words that Edward spoke to me that day. And I love the fact that this work that's grown around the world in this very unexpected way was launched by the words of a child. And that response is just that simple thing: one good meal every day in a place of education for the hungry child. So we meet that first need and that first right to life need by giving food, by allowing Edward to live, by allowing him to grow. And then at the same time, the beauty of that meal, always served in a place of education, is that we enable that young person to grow, to develop, to gain that education that can set them free. And when we began serving the meals that year in a small school, about 200 children, we could see immediately it wasn't just a nice idea, it was something that was really going to work, because almost immediately children who'd never been to school before began coming. And that story has just been repeated over and over again all these years since across the world. Every school we go into, we see the food of children who never went to school before coming because of the promise of that meal in all kinds of different situations. And it's something, even today, that never ceases to surprise me and never ceases to fill me with this huge sense of gratitude to God that He's given me personally this opportunity to be part of this amazing thing, and just thank Him for this amazing thing that grows. One of the most beautiful things about Mary's Meals at this stage, some years later, is to be able to go back to those communities and to meet young people who've now left school and who are going on to different lives. Young people who often tell us, I don't think I would be alive without Mary's Meals today, or I certainly never would have stepped inside a classroom if it hadn't been for Mary's Meals. Recently, I got to know a young lady in Malawi called Veronica, and she's studying finance in university in the city of Blantyre there in Malawi, and to spend maybe just half an hour in her company and to hear her speak with such enthusiasm, such excitement and such confidence, not just about her own future, but about the future of Malawi. To hear her talk about how Malawi can escape dependence on aid, how it can escape chronic poverty, how I suppose it can become a nation that lives with dignity, not dependent on those things. And then to discover that Veronica was amongst the first group of children that we ever fed back in 2002. She was an orphan raised by her older sisters. She speaks openly about the fact that sometimes she went for as long as a week without having a proper meal at home. She talks about Mary's Meals, how it saved her life, and how it was the only thing that brought her into education. And there she is in the university today, looking forward to a dignified life. I also, after many years of trying, last year found Edward again. I tried lots of times to find him again, and I found him eventually, still living in the same village where we met. And it was something that worried me quite a lot going back to see him. I knew it wouldn't be easy because I knew actually that Mary's Meals came too late for him. He was already 14 when I met him, and it was some years before we got to his village. But it was amazing to go back, and at one point in the conversation I asked him, have you heard of Mary's Meals? He said, oh yes, I think they're an organisation that feed in 2 or 3 schools around here. And I was able to explain to him, yeah, they do, but they also feed in many schools all over the world because of your words. And that was a beautiful thing, but maybe the most beautiful thing about that meeting was then to meet his own son, who was about to go to school, and in that school he would eat Mary's Meals every day. So we really see that this word is setting people free, allowing people to become the people that God created them to be, allowing people to develop and to use their gifts to help those around you. I love what you said about the fact that none of us are able to live on our own. Life isn't possible, is it, on our own, in solitary confinement of some sort. Everything depends on us working together. Everything depends on us loving each other. And I suppose the other thing I feel in accepting this award today is just a great sense of solidarity with all those people around the world who are working for the rights of the most vulnerable people, the most vulnerable groups in the world. We have this very particular, singular mission focused on the hungry child. But there are so many other vulnerable groups today, and it's a real pleasure to be with some of you in this room who are doing so much work for some of those other groups. I think of refugees around the world today. I think of the unborn. I think of those who are persecuted for their faith, for their religion. And I feel a great sense of solidarity with all of us who are doing those work to help those groups who are under such attack in so many different ways today. And I just thank you with all my heart for thinking of Mary's Meals when you're thinking about this award this year. It's a real sense of encouragement to us because it's an amazing thing that this work has grown and that we're feeding over 1 million children every day. But we shouldn't forget there are another 61 million children who are waiting, who are hungry, and Our vision for Mary's Meals is that every child in this world should at least be able to eat one good meal every day. And I really believe that's possible in this world of plenty. Sometimes I come across this myth that children are hungry because there's not enough food. There's more than enough food in this world of plenty for all of us. Or sometimes I even come across a myth that people are hungry because there's too many people, too many children. Another myth, and one of the things I love about Mary's Meals is it gives families in the poorest nations the option to choose to have as many children as they choose to have, their choice, not the choice of someone in another country, or not a choice that has to be made in desperate poverty by parents who don't know how they're going to be able to feed their children. So I thank you with all my heart for this award. It's an honour just even to be in the room with so many people who are doing such incredible work, and I thank you for your encouragement to me.